What is up, guys? It's Flash, back with some more charts, another video. Friday, May 23, about 4:56 p.m. Eastern. Any MSTR bulls still left out there? Hope you guys are out there. I'm holding strong here. I'm gonna go through my charts, give you my perspective, and just talk you guys through what I'm thinking about. The price action's been rough, especially when I posted on Tuesday, like a super hypey video. I thought we were ready to go, but looks like we have another pullback, and that's okay. But let's just start out on Bitcoin. We're going to start out on Bitcoin because Bitcoin's the king, I think. And I actually have an interesting chart. MSTR could be leading Bitcoin. I'm going to get to that in a second. Here we got the rainbow wave, the power law. We all know and love it. We could go to 175, 200, 225, 250. Your guess is as good as mine, but we're going to be tracking this, and I think once we get into this bubble territory, things are going to be a little bit overheated. So that's my perspective. So this is the alternative view of the power trend, the power law, just in the regular scale. This is bigger than any day-to-day price action, right, guys? So just super important for me to keep in mind. There's something much bigger taking place here, and we are right in the middle of it. We're in the early innings of it, if you can believe that. Super exciting things to come, day by day, week by week, month by month. As long as I'm around here, I'm going to keep tracking it for you guys. So drop me a like if you guys are liking this stuff. All right, so what I want to talk about is liquidity in the business cycle. I truly think this is a game of liquidity. Rolling of the debt, whatever you want to call it, M2. Essentially, these next three slides here are just showing the global M2 in the yellow and then Bitcoin with the white. You see that compression of the M2 kind of in the bear market. And then the government has to roll the debt, reprice the debt, add money to the supply, add US dollars in various ways, shapes, and forms, right? But essentially, adding liquidity to the system so that the fiat system, the dollar-based system, does not fall apart, right? And that is ultimately driving the price of Bitcoin up because you're measuring a finite asset in Bitcoin. You're measuring that in the US dollar, which is increasing in supply. That's a main point I want to get across. So yes, liquidity cycles are going to increase the price of Bitcoin. We know that, right? And so is it going to exactly follow the M2 day by day, week by week? Probably not, right? But are there days when it tracks and has a stronger correlation? Absolutely, yes. So I like to chart that as well. But you see here, this is like 2014 through 2018, compression in liquidity, huge bull market. Next slide, 2018 through 2022, compression in liquidity, big bull market. It didn't seem that big, but that was liquidity being released to the upside, and Bitcoin sniffs that out and reprices itself. Last slide here, 2022 through 2026 or beyond, right? Compression in liquidity now being released to the upside. So this is like liquidity is going up, money's being added to the system. That means the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, they're all going to go up. A lot of these stocks are going to go up because of liquidity, right? There's more money in the system. Bitcoin's going to go up, and it has a greater return. It has a greater volatility to the upside. Like the returns are just incredible with Bitcoin, obviously because of its properties, right? And so what I'm looking to do here is, yes, I'm going to find a horse or two or three to ride this liquidity to the upside, right? So that being Bitcoin, I'm picking MSTR. I think it's obviously for the reasons we all know about, like MSTR is going to be super strong in this too. And, I think you just got to find your horse, what you're comfortable with, what you know, what you study, whatever it is, right? But this is primarily a Bitcoin MSTR channel. I will cover some other treasury companies like Metaplanet or Blockchain Group or Semler Scientific. Like those are all horses in the race that should go up because of this liquidity, because they're related to Bitcoin, because they are building on the hardest money mankind has ever seen. Let's continue. So here's Bitcoin with the global M2. Like I said, this isn't going to track perfectly, but I'll look for offsets that, they line up pretty good. This one lines up pretty good today. It's the 83-day offset, 85.1% correlation in the last 30 days, 92.4% correlation in the last 60 days. Again, thank you, Raoul Paul. Thank you, Julianne. Thank you, Colin Talks Crypto, for putting this indicator out there into the universe. What I also will note is the price of gold pushed forward by 92 days. This Bitcoin has a stronger correlation, believe it or not, to gold right now. 93.6% last 30 days, 95.2% correlation last 60 days, almost 92% last 90 days. I mean, gold, I think, is really what we should be tracking here. So that's why I've included it. And then when you throw them both on the chart, it's just up and to the right. There's going to be volatility. It's going to try to shake you out, especially MSTR recently. But I'm going to show you guys some charts that I'm thinking about. Okay, so that's Bitcoin. What else did I have? Anything on Bitcoin? Yeah, Bitcoin measured in gold, the power law against gold. Like, this is Bitcoin, gold pushed forward, and gold is still going to continue going up. But Bitcoin is going to outperform this to the upside based on this power law model versus gold, which has an R squared of 0.94. I'm fired up today. All right, so this is an interesting chart, right? So this is actually MSTR pushed forward by 9 days, which has a 94.3% correlation in the last 30 days. Not super strong over time, but I thought this was really interesting. Could MSTR actually right now be leading Bitcoin? I guess time will tell, but we saw a dip in MSTR. I think if we go back to Bitcoin measured in gold, we could see a dip here in Bitcoin if we're going to follow this. Again, may not happen on a day-for-day basis, but this looks like we could dip down to like 100, 102, which isn't really that big of a dip, but that would relate to what MSTR is doing here, right? Okay, so here's back to this liquidity thing, and I have MSTR. You can't see the price action here on MSTR, but this is just global M2 and gold overlaid, right? And so we're gonna add MSTR to the chart. We just throw it right in there. And it's just lining up pretty nicely right now, okay? Again, what I'm trying to do is capture this move, right? There's going to be volatility to the upside, volatility to the downside, but you want to, in my opinion, not financial advice, you want to be in this for when it's going up and to the right, and you don't want to get shaken out. You don't want to mess this up. I don't want to mess this up, right? So this is kind of how I'm thinking about it. There's going to be volatility, yes, but we want to be in this channel, okay? So let's see if MSTR can hold this channel. Let's see if it's going to track these gold and the global M2. Let's find out. It's definitely testing everyone right now. And I don't want to be like the overlay guy. I just think this is so fascinating that I think that's all driven by liquidity in the business cycle and the power trend, the power law. And then when you have what Michael Saylor's doing, I mean, things just go insane. Like, I got this from Jeff Walton, MSTR True North, like, MSTR holds like 575,000 Bitcoin. The next 10 closest companies hold about 170K Bitcoin combined, right? Like, no one is, I don't think, even I can't even comprehend how big of a move this is that MSTR is doing. Their whole, it's tough to discuss, right? But I just think this is going to outperform. Like, I forget about the ATM, forget about shorting the stock. Like, let's ride this liquidity cycle. Don't get shaken out. I think the news tries to shake people out, I think. And I'm kind of going on a rant here, but it's needed for me. This is kind of like a journal for me too. But here we got MSTR just on the 2 hour, a little bit zoomed in. But this is, zoomed in like to that channel that we're talking about that we want to be riding up. So, I mean, this looks like a violent consolidation, like broadening, expanding wedge, bull flag, whatever you want to call it. I just think that this is going to shoot back up to the upside, guys. I really do. Yep, so there's that channel. I put that on. That's kind of what we want to be riding in. And so I don't know where the bottom's going to be, right? We don't know where price is actually going to go. This is just me talking and drawing lines on a chart. But wherever we do bottom out, if we're going to follow this M2 and this gold chart, we should be bottoming out pretty soon. And I think that'll create that bottom half of the channel for us. So, I know I kind of had to redraw this previously. I don't want to mislead anyone per se, but I'm just trying to adapt to what's playing out and what the charts are telling me. So, so here's the M2 overlaid on MSTR. I still think, we could keep climbing here. moral of the story, I guess. So here's MSTR measured in gold. Again, not much has changed. You see that slight dip in the recent price action. I would say it still looks healthy, right? We're still above this big resistance now turned support line. Okay, so here's MSTR measured in Bitcoin on the weekly time frame, just kind of on a bigger picture view. Looks like a big rounded bottom, big accumulation pattern. And then we'll zoom in here. So MSTR measured in Bitcoin on the 12-hour, right? So this is like, wasn't expecting this per se, but I mean, it's not out of the ordinary for MSTR to do this, right? It just did this about 2 months ago. You know, when the whole market itself was bottoming out, MSTR took a big dip there in April. I think it was April 8th when that rebounded. So if we're going to follow this bull and follow these trend lines, this is the time, this is the moment where MSTR will start to outperform Bitcoin. And, you know, if assuming we ride back up this bull and break out into July, that's where I think MSTR would really outperform. But we need to hold these trend lines and this bull structure, right? So no promises, but I mean, it looks pretty symmetrical to me. And I have to imagine there will be some support here. My hope and my goal is for MSTR to now start outperforming Bitcoin for the remainder of this bull cycle. That's what I think the power in this chart lies, if that plays out, right? I can't tell you if it's going to or not. All right, we're not going to cover Metaplanet today, but that's really what I wanted to cover, and just kind of a little pep talk for folks that may be feeling discouraged. I mean, myself included. But hey, there's a dip right here. I'm going to go back to, I think it's, yeah, I mean, this is kind of this, there's a big dip here in the M2 and in gold, again, on the 57-day, and I think it's, I don't know what the gold offset is, but big dip here. I still think we're going to go to the upside. I still think we hold the line. Insert the Mel Gibson Braveheart hold the line gif. Drop me a like if you guys found this helpful. I will see you boys and girls in the next one.